All right, everybody. We got something different today. I took some time to think about what's been up the last few months and what's worked, what has not worked, and I think overall it's been pretty good. We've gotten a lot of great interviews from great athletes with our longer interviews and the shorter post-game interviews, but you're all probably wondering what this is. I will explain that in just a minute. I think you guys can infer some stuff, but I will answer. I'll be explaining it and answering potential questions you might have. But first, I think we'll reintroduce somebody who most of you probably know very well from Clarkston University, sandwiched in between the Adirondack Mountains. Welcome back, Brendan.
Thank you. Thanks for having me, Drew.
Yeah, so I was thinking, and it's pretty cool because you were the first person I ever interviewed, and since then, we've had a lot of great interviews, a lot of great guests have come on in the fall, transition to covering post game and doing all those interviews. And I thought that was really good. But I got this feeling that, like, okay, this is good, on the right track. We're going good places, but I felt like something was missing. And I was like, it'd be cool to have Brendan back at some point, but I can't interview you about your basketball career again and again and again and still have it be interesting because we've already gone over that. I think it really clicked for me over the vacation when you came home that this would works pretty well because that bobsled video we worked on together blew up. We got over 3,000 views on it pretty quickly.
I think it's almost 3.5 now. Now that I looked, I thought it was like 3,400 or something.
Yeah, I mean, it just showed me that everything I need to know because we had our first video and that was number one on my channel in terms of views for a really long time. And then after that, a lot of great people I met, a lot of great experiences covering soccer, golf. I don't want to disrespect anything that if I forget to mention it, but hockey, basketball, obviously, did a cross country interview, got a bunch of interviews, met a lot of great people, and it was a lot of fun for me. But the to have that video at number one for after that and then have 50 more videos, I think it showed a lot. And then after that you come back and next video we do together is number one by a long shot.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. It says 3,400 views.
Jeez. So I think it really resonated with me that this is the duo, this is what works. So we'll be starting the Dumont and Elrick podcast. We don't know how often we will post these, but
Sad,
something I want, yeah,
sadly, due to how busy I am, it won't be that often. But
yeah. So we won't commit to posting super often. However, I think once in a while it'll be nice to have one of these. And please, everybody, let me have some feedback because I really like feedback when we're doing something new. So comment below whatever you can do to let me know because I would really appreciate that. So let's run through everything. So we'll cover both basketball teams, boys and girls. We'll start off with the boys team. Number two right now in the Division 3 standings, and they're sitting at 10-1. In their last three games, they lost to Guilford. That was their first loss of the season right after the halfway point. They lost 42-79. That was not good, obviously, but
it sounded rough. Were you at the game
I
or?
was not at the game. I was in Hopkinton covering the girls' game, and the
Hmm,
boys went up to Guilford, so I had to broadcast that game because they would not have had a broadcaster if I wasn't there. But the girls did win that game,
well, that's
fortunately.
good.
So we'll cover that as well, but we'll start off with the boys' team. Since then, they played Stevens last Saturday, won 44-26, defeated Monadnock on the road 60-59 on Tuesday. And tonight they will be taking on the Somersworth Hilltoppers, who right now have a record of 5-5. We'll preview that game soon, but let's dive into Guilford first. Guilford has been a powerhouse for years now. They're well
Yeah, I think
coached. They have a lot
past
of people.
three or 4 years. Yeah, 4 years.
They're a great team. There's a lot to be said there, but I have some new notes. I actually ran into Coach Signor about a week ago. He came to Hopkinton to watch. I think it was the Stevens game, and we had a conversation. And he made the point of, look, this is the regular season. We still got a lot of time left before playoffs. Things could change. You know, somebody could get injured. We never hope for that to happen. Obviously, I've always said that injuries are the worst part of sports, but
No, I would agree with that.
I hate losing, but I'd say injuries are worse than losing because at the end of the day,
Oh,
it's just a game, and you know,
100%.
injury can be really bad. I think we all the world saw that with Damar Hamlin, whatever that was, 3 weeks ago in the Buffalo Bills game where he got hurt, had to be sent to the hospital, and they stopped the game. So wanted to put that out there. But that being said, you know, Coach Sigler made that point to me. An injury could totally change the tide of everything. Guilford has the Reese brothers. Both of them are scoring right now. They are two of the top 10 scorers in terms of average points per game in the state for Division III boys. They're having a great year. I know that they were expected to kind of take a step back after graduating a few seniors, at least last year. But since then, they've just been on a tear, remain undefeated at this point, 11-0. And they're really good. I was speaking to Jim Rivers uh, when we were doing our broadcast for the Stevens game on Saturday, it was. And something that he said, because Jim went up to go watch the game, was he said, this is the best Guilford team he's ever seen. And right now,
Yeah.
like,
I
I'm not
mean,
an expert. I'm not a Guilford expert, so I don't know enough to say this, that, or the other thing. I know they were predicted to be weaker uh, than they had been previous years, but they look strong this year. So I figured we'd ask somebody who's got experience against Guilford and playing against them throughout the years. What's it like to play in a Guilford game, and how's that different from any other team?
well, honestly, I wouldn't have expected the Guilford to be any worse. Like, where did you hear that they were going to be worse this year? I would have thought they were going to be better because, I mean, those two brothers were what carried them, and they're still there, and they're older now.
Yeah, I heard that. I forget exactly what it was, but I read some stuff prior to the season. I had some conversations with individuals who I'm not going to call out. But basically, I'd heard that because they graduated a couple seniors last year, that they weren't going to be quite as strong, but however, they were still expected to be the number one team. And again, the favorite to win the championship, but maybe not as to an extreme, to put it that
Yeah,
way.
no,
But they
I
were still
mean,
expected to be number one.
honestly, my junior year when we played them in the championship games, the brothers were the reason we lost. I mean, there's no doubt about it. The youngest one, I forget, it's Isaiah and Jalen, but I forget which one's younger.
Yeah.
But I mean, they were they were the top scorers, and last year that was the same thing. So I mean, I'm not surprised that that's the same again this year.
Yeah. I'm really good. So you've played against all these teams in Division III. Is there any way that they're coached, the way that they play, like if they're fast, passing the ball, anything they're really good at, or multiple things they're good at that are just different from any other team you face?
In all honesty, I don't really know. I mean, I I can't I can't recall anything in particular other than having more than a few good players on their team. I think that was their strength, was their depth, is that you had to worry about their fifth guy being able to score 20 in one night. I mean, that's something to worry about when they have two really good players and then the three following them are have the ability to score as well.
Yeah. Um,
I don't know if that's the same this year. I don't remember who was seniors. I don't remember who
yeah,
left, who's still there. I couldn't tell you any names, so I don't know about that this year, but that's how it was in the past.
that's all right. We're just running through here. So Guilford, very strong team yet again. We'll talk about the transition of coaches and players as well. We lost 7 seniors from the previous season, including yourself for the boys team. So they also lost Coach Signor, their varsity coach, and Coach Merrill, their JV coach. So it's been a huge turnaround for them. I think throughout the season, sitting at 10-1, number two in the standings, they have done pretty well.
I would agree. I mean, I'm impressed with how well the players have done, being that they didn't really see much. Well, a few of them saw a little court time last year, but the amount of the lack of court time that their starters and their bench have seen, especially varsity. I mean, it's impressive how well they've done with that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I mean, Coach Miller, he is a new face for all of us. Obviously, he used to be the assistant, I think, over at Pelham, but he's done a really good job. His style is different from Signor. I've talked to a number of people, players, coaches, whoever, about the change from uh, Signor to new coach, Coach Miller, and there's been a noticeable difference. But my conclusion that I've taken, Coach Signor, an absolutely great coach, and Coach Miller appears to be a really great coach as well. Coach Signor, I think, was here for 5 or 6 years. I'd have to check that, but he was here for a while. Really good coach
Yeah,
thus far.
I would think at least 6 or 7 years because I remember. I think it was my seventh grade year. I think it was probably my seventh grade year he came, maybe even my sixth grade year. So it was. He's been there a while.
All right. So 6 years or so, but he's been there for a while. Then he stepped away, but he's a really good coach. I don't think anybody questions that. And Coach Miller, is something new. He's different. I think he's also a great coach, but it's just a different style. His style is different from Signor's in that I'd say Coach Signor liked to run a lot of the starters. I'd say Coach Miller is focused a lot on shooting and getting the bench involved as well because his philosophy I've heard is it's never a bad shot as long as you're confident about it. Like
Yes,
so
that could end real poorly.
so he's worked with the guys. He's been in there in the off season and working with them, and they've developed their shooting to a point where they're comfortable with it. So I think that's been a good thing is he's shown confidence in his players and helped them out that way. Um, Will Tanavasa and Noah A-Frame really organized the guys from over the summer. That's what I've talked to the guys and that's what I've heard is they organized the guys. They got guys out there playing AAU ball together in the summer and getting their reps in. And I think that's part of the reason they've been so successful when they didn't have, nearly the amount of reps that they had in the previous years compared to what they're getting now is they got out there and they were working hard in the summertime on their AAU team in the fall, whatever it was, and then they had their open gym. So they were doing a really good job. I still think they are. There's been a lot of bench scoring. I think depth. You mentioned that's why Guilford's so good. I think that's why Hopkinton has been so successful thus far this season. They've been able to have guys come off the bench and score a lot of points. So
I think when I was there, we had depth on defense, but when it came to offense, um, depth was something we were lacking. I mean, I don't recall what the points per game were at the end of the season, but I know there was a significant drop off after the first couple players, it seemed.
all right. It's a good note to make. I was getting the stats from Jim earlier in the year for offense and defense, and I think they were like number one in offense, or they were top two in both offense and defense. It varied game to game, obviously. Excuse me, as teams in the season switched up a little bit after playing some games, they would, lose. They might lose a game and not score many points, and that would bump them down, or win a game by a lot, and that would bump them up. But they've been consistent both offensively and defensively the whole season. I noticed in the past few weeks that there was a little bit less scoring on offense, which I don't think that's their fault. I attribute that to just you can't have a long schedule and expect to come out and score 60, 70 points every night. That's just unrealistic. The start of the season was similar to last season in the fact that, what was it? Newport was the home opener last season, correct? And they won by a lot. And similarly, they scored 70 something against Newport. And this year, I think it was Raymond, but don't quote me on that. Raymond was their first or their second home game of the season. And similarly, they scored a lot of points early on in those games. So that was a big part of their offense. One thing I want to get to is the arrival of Merrick MJ Yopa, one of the really, I'd say the biggest addition to this team thus far. He was not on the team last
Oh,
year, as we know, but
I mean,
he's
for
been,
sure. You look at scoring stats, and he's well above everybody else in the team.
yeah, he's been incredible. His ability to come out and shoot 3-pointers has just been crazy. I mean, that's part of the reason that they got so far ahead in these blowouts is you'd have MJ line up from beyond the arc, and if he could score, he'd take, maybe 3 to 5 shots early on from beyond the arc, and if he got a good percentage of them in, then it took over the game,
Yeah,
and they got the momentum. They were moving forward, and they felt comfortable, which I think was helpful for them. Another thing I wanted to get to is defense because they were also very strong defensively. I know Coach Miller, he talks about defense first a lot and the importance of defense and having all that work out. So it's going to be an important season for them for sure. Because new coach, you're really setting, uh, a new culture after the changes that have been made with losing the seniors, losing Coach Signor, and the culture has been a big part of that for sure. I'd say. So, what do we got next? Um, yeah. What are your thoughts? You saw them play one game.
against Kearsarge. Yeah, that was. If I remember correctly, that was a bit of a blowout. I remember MJ had like the first 15 points of the game in the first 6 minutes of the first quarter or something crazy like that. I mean that, yeah.
Yeah. So that's definitely been a big factor for them. I'd say similarities to last year was the strength on offense, differences, or I'd say they were strong last year. So they were strong last year on offense, strong on defense as well. Differences is just probably the coaching style and moving forward, they look good. Let's preview the Summersworth game. Summersworth currently sits at 5-5, bit of a streaky team. Lost their first 2 games of the season, won 5 straight, and now they have lost their last 3. This is their last game of their 4-game road trip, as you could call it. They played St. Thomas on the 10th, and they lost 52-73. Played Raymond on the 13th, lost 58-62, and then played Winnisquam most recently on the 17th, lost 47-69. So they've been, kind of like that. They were started off poorly, then stuff went good for them for 5 games. Now they're losing stuff again. So we'll see what it is tonight. 5-5. Certainly Hopkinton the favorite tonight, obviously, sitting at 10-1. So be on the lookout for that tonight. And we can cover the girls team as well. Do you have any additional thoughts on the boys team?
No, I can't say I do. I mean, I think they're definitely going to need some sort of. Yeah, no, I mean, they could beat Guilford, but it would take a lot to beat them, especially after what the results of the last game were. I mean, it would take a bit of a miracle, I would say, for
Yeah.
them to do it.
I think they just right now the best thing is to just get better. It's just take every opportunity you can to get better every game and just work from there. I think you got to focus on the game in front of you. It's, a 1-game season. You got to approach every game like that and then just go forward from there to the next game, to the next game, to the next game. It just, okay, this is what we got to do this game. And don't be thinking about the other games or what could be lying down the line because you got to focus on what's in front of you.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, with Guilford too, they just got to keep them from scoring. It's hard to score a lot of points against them because they're big, they're tall. They don't really let much happen inside the 3-point arc. They just would need to keep them from scoring a ton of points because I mean, what was the score? 70 something to 40 something?
It
Like,
was, I got it right here. It was 42-79. Uh, however, the coach for Guilford, he left his starters in until there was only 2 or 3 minutes left.
yeah,
So
but I mean, hey, that's if it were the championship game, he would have left them into the last minute unless they were winning by that much. So I mean, you just need to keep them from scoring if they scored that many because, like I said, it's hard to score. You can't against Guilford. You can't give up 79 points and expect to score 80 to win. Like that wouldn't be feasible. You would need to score 55 and keep them to 50, like 54 or something like that to be able to beat them.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I also noticed that they had been playing the first 6 games, they played really well, both offensively and defensively. And then they played well defensively in their last 2 games prior to Guilford. However, their offense wasn't quite there. So, I mean, if that's when your defense is playing well, that's going to be tough. So you just got to keep working, getting better. I mean, I like all these guys. I think they're all working hard. So, that's where I'm at with that. See, it says we only have 10 minutes left to go over everything else. So go through. Girls team sits at 7-3 right now in their last 3 games. They lost to Monadnock 40-42. They defeated Guilford 52-49. That was an incredible game. There were buzzer beaters in that game. There was a shade
Wow.
one right at the end of the second half, or the first half, the second quarter. It was 18-22, and then they cut it down to just 21-22. And then afterwards, it was Maddie Carmichael who hit the buzzer beater, descended to overtime. And that was a lot of fun to watch. They won that game at the end. So
Yeah,
good
no,
game.
that sounds awesome.
It was a great game to watch. So, I mean,
Yeah, I
that
bet.
was Guilford as well. So that was the better Guilford game, obviously, for Hopkinton. And then
Yeah.
they most recently played Stevens on Saturday. Tough team to beat, and they played them. They lost 38-43 coming in today. They're playing Summersworth. Summersworth girls team is 1-9. Let's see. In their last 3, they played 2 home, St. Thomas and Winnisquam. They lost to St. Thomas 27-47, lost to Winnisquam 20-61, and they played at Interlakes and they lost 21-28. So, yeah, I think it's a very winnable game for them on the road. Good luck to them. Coach Roy always seems to always have really good teams. So credit to them, credit to all their players. They've seemed to maybe not have like this uh I don't know. Just my point is they get scoring from a lot of different players and they're able to do a group effort. They've been a lot of fun to watch this year. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I know you've seen one of the boys' games. You haven't seen a girls' game yet this season, so it'll
No.
be hard to go with on that. But they're in the playoff picture right now. They've been playing good. So wishing the best of luck to them, obviously, on the road. And let's hope for 2 wins tonight. That's what we're all hoping for. So
Mhm.
then we'll move on to our engineering project from over vacation. So that was a lot of fun. I had a blast with that.
Yeah. No, I
Um,
mean, just taking old crap nobody wanted and turning it into something fun.
I mean, that's us right there, though. We'll take stuff, and everybody will be like, "What? Why the heck do you want that?" And the next thing you know, we got a bobsled. So I think we're gonna have to keep up with that. Eventually, when you come back, I'll look forward to doing more of those projects with you.
I'll put
Um,
that thing out in the water when I'm back. There's gonna be no snow left.
yeah, I know. I'm not saying we're gonna be bobsledding next time. I'm saying we're gonna have to come up with something for the summer.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I saw you're making bobsled number 2. How's that going?
It's going pretty good. I got the frame built. I got the 255-gallon drums attached with the plywood. So I brought it in, and I'm doing that as my EDD project. So it's a lot of
Oh,
fun.
nice.
So I brought it in today to Mr. Christie's room and was working
You're
on
gonna
that.
He's gonna make you design some actual brakes, I hope.
Yeah, I'm working on it. I mean, I think we had a good idea with like the steering last time where you had one on the left and one on the right and you were steering it so that you could have like you could steer it and use the brakes at the same time. It just was those pieces of wood on the side just did not work. So I'm going with metal this time and I'm going to try and put it on the inside, put a dowel through there and we'll see what goes
Yeah.
on with that. But yeah, Yeah, I had, so we had
When we
the,
were doing it, there,
go ahead.
when we were doing it, there wasn't enough snow for the
Yeah.
brakes to actually work. I mean, they
Yeah,
those were utterly useless when we were using them.
that's true. You said you went faster when you used the brakes.
Yeah, I felt like it lifted me off the ground and sent me a little quicker. I don't know.
All right. So there was, I mean, that was, we had, once we got these two things put together, you hop in there to try and test out if we could fit or not, because we know if you could fit in there, we all could because you're taller than everybody, obviously. So you hop in there and then you got stuck
Yeah, yes, I did.
and
Legs were short enough to get in, but I guess they were too long to get out.
oh, I was like, that would have been, I'm glad we didn't have to call 911, but that would have been the most entertaining 911 call of all time. Nine,
I would have had you give me the sawzall to cut me out before I was going to call 911 now.
uh, imagine 911, what's your emergency? Yeah, we got a guy stuck in 255-gallon drums that are attached together with pieces of plywood. How'd that happen? We were making a hillbilly bobsled. Oh, what?
They probably would have been just like cut him out or unscrew it or something.
They would have been like, what the heck is wrong with you guys? How did this happen? There have been so many questions. Oh my gosh. But yeah, I know you said you want to do more projects. I definitely want to do more projects with you as well. I had a blast doing that. And then something that leaves the ground, you said we have to wait on something that leaves the ground until we do a couple more projects, unless it's off of a jump. I remember you saying that. I mean,
No, I think what I remember saying is whatever we do, it shouldn't leave the ground. I didn't say we gotta wait. We're never doing that. That's someone's gonna get hurt.
yeah, adds to the adventure.
All right, you're going, not me.
Hey, I'll test it out. I'm perfectly happy testing it out. So we'll have to do that. We should build a plane at some point.
No, that's
Not
not
that
gonna work. That'd be a waste of time and energy and
oh
everything.
I don't know. Maybe a glider that actually works this time.
Oh, those weren't carrying anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. We'll have some more future projects in store, so we'll have to see. I mean, we did have a conversation about zip tying skateboards to the bottom of skis. Like, and you made the point. Why are we trying to make it go faster when we haven't even gotten the brakes figured out yet? So
Yeah,
I
no,
think you're right
that's
about
your
that.
job. That's your job for the rest of the year.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's definitely my job because, I have to take care of it and it's my project anyway. I'm smart enough to come up with the idea, but I'm not good enough engineer on my own just yet. I think to have done that without you. So thank you for your help and your expertise working over there at Clarkston on the Formula car.
Oh, no, no problem. I don't think the bobsled was quite as up to par as other things, but that's because we were using all sorts of screws that we found in the bottom of a box to put that thing together.
I actually got it a little bit more organized down in the basement and it's working out better. So I found a lot of the screws. I got it more put together down there. So next
Nice.
project we'll have it a lot more figured out and organized and everything. I mean, at some point, like I'd like to redo the basement and put like a bandsaw in there so we can work with that. And I'd have to invest in a bandsaw. So that would definitely be worth noting. I mean, yeah, this is just an idea, but could redo the basement. If so, I'd probably have to redo the ceiling so that you could actually fit in there comfortably. I'm like 6'2". I have about this much clearance in the basement in one of the areas of the basement. And then I think everybody can figure out for themselves what happened when Brendan was walking down there.
Yeah, I had to duck pretty much the entire time, but that's all good.
I just you that was entertaining, but yeah, I see the Zoom clock running out. We only have about a minute left, so I apologize. Hopefully we'll get this up to date a little bit more. We'll evolve our technology to be better than it is now, and I'm hoping to I don't know when it'll be, but hopefully we can make more of these videos together. And
Yeah, for sure.
yeah. So thanks everybody for listening. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments and everything. And yeah, enjoy the games. Good luck to all of our teams. Thanks.